its first bay to Birdwood appearance in 1992 is this 1933 Hupmobile Series K sedan, one of the final models produced. Owned and driven by Brian Hogan, who's owned the vehicle for 20 years, this car was fully imported and sold at the Melbourne Motor Show in 1933. In its time, this car with a tandem trailer has been used to transport fruit and vegetables from market to a Ballarat fruit shop. One of the earliest cars in the run was this 1905 Argyle Tonneau, owned and driven by Bill Jamison of Nova Gardens. Based on the contemporary Renault, the Argyle has no room for a door on the side, so passengers made their entry via the back. The body of this car was found in a paddock near Snowtown in South Australia's north. The engine came from Melbourne. While in rough condition, the body was completely original and only needed painting. As an indication of the size of what is thought to be the largest veteran and vintage car rally in the Southern Hemisphere, the first vehicles are arriving at Birdwood while the last ones are leaving the bay. The Anzac Highway becomes an ideal vantage point for onlookers to watch the passing parade. All along the route, from busy suburbs to quiet country roads, it's the same story. South Australians take advantage of the weather and let history pass them by. It's a scene of bustling activity as marshals organise entrance into paddocks turned parking lots for the day. Motorbikes head for their special spot and the concours finalists are assembled for the big moment. The picnic baskets come out, champagne corks pop, and it's time to relax and look around. If you remember Jack Murray and the famous or infamous Red X trials, you'll remember the Ford V8 Super Deluxe four-door sedan. This one, a 1946 model driven by Mr. Bevan Bell, was discovered sitting in the middle of the oval at a Bendigo swap meet. Mr. Bell saw it, fell for it, bought it, and has driven it from his home in Delacombe in country Victoria to Adelaide for 3 Bay to Birdwood runs. And so far, he says, it hasn't missed a beat. With 65,000 miles on the clock, this 1938 Dodge D8 sedan brought Colin Harmer from Young in New South Wales to Adelaide in 1992 to take part in its first Bay to Birdwood run. The trip took 1.5 days with no problems, but the home journey was marred by a cracked piston. With only 3 owners in its lifetime, this Dodge boasts only one accident, when the driver didn't see a boom gate at a railway crossing. The boom went through the front window and out through the back, narrowly missing the driver, but causing only minor damage to the car. However, we're not so sure about the driver's nervous system. Adelaide motoring enthusiast Rob Trembath bought this magnificent 1940 Packard convertible coupe in 1988, entered in both the 1988 and the 1990 runs in its unrestored state, then dismantled and restored it in time for the 1992 Shannon's Bay to Birdwood, and ended up a finalist in the Concours d'Elegance. Still proudly displaying its original registration number, this car was one of only 5 of its type to come to Australia. The lead vehicle in the 1992 Shannon's Bay to Birdwood run was this magnificent Invicta Type S low chassis sports tourer, one of only 77 ever built, and now it's believed only one of 33 which remain. Heralded as the best-looking sports car in the vintage tradition to be produced in England, the Invicta was a comfortable and fast touring motor car and was often called the 100 mile per hour Invicta. The Invicta not only attracted the immediate attention of Robert Shannon, seen here at the wheel, it became the catalyst for his extensive collection of vintage vehicles, developed his interest in the Beta Birdwood Run, and subsequently led to his involvement in the run not only as a participant, but as a sponsor. It's no wonder the Invicta was chosen to lead the way. Jim and Marjorie Ellis of Erdbray in South Australia are familiar entrants in the Beta Birdwood Run and have the unique honour of winning the concours twice, in a history-making draw with Mr and Mrs Burko in 1988, then again in 1990 in a 1928 Packard. For 1992, it was a 1929 Packard 633 Roadster, restored with the help of their son David. The Ellis family are firm believers in enjoying their cars, and once the Beta Birdwood was over, were planning a caravanning holiday with the Packard in control. Apart from its obvious appeal, this 1928 Torbit AF 1445 Doctor's Coupe has more to draw attention to it. It doesn't have a dicky seat, only a luggage compartment. Built in Melbourne for a Collins Street architect, this Torbit, driven by Rolly Force, is a regular Beta Birdwood entrant and has twice finished in the top 10 concours cars. Reminiscent of the German sports cars of the time, this 1922 SPA Sports Roadster was an exciting addition to the Italian range of Matteo Serrano. Brought to South Australia by a priest who was subsequently told to sell it because it was not the type of car suitable for a priest. It is the only known SPA Sports Roadster with a Bouton body and was found by its present owner John Milton in 1980. At that stage it was a complete wreck, but a set of plans from Italy and 5 years hard work brought it to the standard you see now. A highlight for many Beta Birdwood fans, both spectators and entrants alike, is the proliferation of motorbikes. Over the years, the bikes have come from all parts of Australia, and so it would appear have parts of the bikes themselves. This 1942 Harley-Davidson WLA motorcycle is owned and ridden by Mr Norman McKinnon, who bought it while living in Melbourne some 15 years ago, then spent the next 18 months scouring the countryside for bits and pieces to assist his restoration. When the military police saw the results of his work, they asked if they could paint MP on the windscreen. Mr McKinnon and his Harley have been in 6 of the 7 Beta Birdwood runs. This 1938 AJS Silver Streak solo motorcycle spent a great deal of its early years painted army green and travelling between the South Australian river town of Berry and a fruit block just out of town. Now, due to the efforts of Mr Youngford Jr., the Silver Streak has been taken back to its original colour, tidied up, a few dents taken out, and has been part of the last 5 runs. The Youngfords trailer the bike part way to Glenelg, but give it a run some of the way to test its mettle for the 60-kilometre trek to Birdwood. The winner of the 1992 Concours d'Elegance was this 1904 de Dion Baton Tonneau, owned and driven by Chris Sorensen of Queensland. Chris, with his wife Jenny and 2 sons Luke and Kevin, epitomised all the concours means in the Beta Birdwood, with impeccable attention to details and clothes of the era, trimmings on the car and overall appearance. The car came from London in a crate and was assembled in Bundaberg in Queensland. And while it's had a coat of paint, it's never been restored. It's in original condition. Chris Sorensen first spotted the car when he was a young man and asked the owner to let him know if he ever wanted to sell it. And 9 years ago, that's exactly what happened. In 1989, Chris took his family and the de Dion to England for the London to Brighton and were very warmly received. It's time for speeches. It's time for chatting with fellow enthusiasts, for exchanging information, for saying goodbye until next time. The 1994 Shannon's Beta Birdwood Run will be held on Sunday, September the 25th, 1994. The biennial event is the centrepiece of the Motorfest, a week either side of the run itself, which features a calendar of motoring events, tours, club meetings and a host of other activities all designed to appeal to the motoring enthusiast. For further details, contact Margaret Mason on 08 342 7777 during office hours.